Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Now, one of the topics of interest of mine has been for many years is unidentified aerial phenomenon. And this study is called ufology. And I've been studying these things for wondering what they are with deep fascination uh, over the past 30 years. And I've made a lot of advancements in my understanding of this very complex subject. I've made my own classification of two different types of these objects, and I have a better understanding of one type than I do the other. Uh, but we've got a subject of interest that come to mind, and something I saw that I want to share with you guys was in Cape Hatteras. They had a video of a mysterious flying object, and it was visible for 3 minutes total. And this means it wasn't a meteor or anything like that, but it kind of looked a little bit like a meteor, but it's not. Let's get right in there and talk about this, because I'm going to tell you, there was a mysterious object that came through our solar system that was called the first interstellar object we've seen in the solar system. This is what they said. Harvard scientists recently speculated it could be an alien spaceship. They named the object Omnahua, and I guess this is Hawaiian language. Where does it say here? In 2018, this object came through our solar system, this Omahua. Now, let me turn on the charts right here, and I'll show you what it looked like. Okay? This is a mysterious object. Now, this is an artist rendering. This is what you have to understand. And the artist was trying to make this long cigar-shaped object look like a natural phenomenon, But if you take a look at the outline of this thing, and you forget about the parts where the artist has conceived of it as being a natural phenomenon. In other words, he's tried to make it look like a rock. But what they see when they look through the telescopes and stuff is they see the outline of the actual shape of the thing. And so that's what they gave the artist to work with. And to me, removing all of his rocky bumps and features he's put in the artist's conception, it's the shape of a star cruiser. That's what the shape of the thing was, the actual shape. All of these are just artist renderings, these little lumps and bumps that he's put in to make it look like a big rock. But what really interested the scientists is the fact that this interstellar object seemed to have its own propulsion, and it was moving extremely quickly through our solar system at more than 70,000 miles per hour through our solar system. And it could not be captured by the sun's gravity. That is, it could not be captured by the sun's gravity, scientists reasoned. They also reasoned that it was... Now, the size of this object, it was really big. It was really big. And what I want to point out to you guys is... well, let's take a look at this new footage we just got in from Cape Hatteras. Let me expand the view. And let me start it. Now, this was the object. Now, what I want you guys to see is, if we stop it right here, you can see that this is like is not like a trail behind it. It looks kind of like a trail behind it, but it's not. Let me see if I can replay this again for you guys, and so you can see what I'm talking about. It's not a trail behind it. Like, I think that's the entire object you're seeing. I don't think it's leaving a trail. It somewhat gives the appearance of leaving a trail behind it, if you take a look at the photo again. But I think what we're seeing is the entire object. It's hard to conceive in your mind that an object could actually be that huge or that large, in the sky. But that's the size that this Omnahua, or whatever they call it, was. I tell you, why they name it such complicated names, I don't know. if we go back to this article here, how do you pronounce that? Anaumia. This what they named it. Just the name alone is very confusing, and a lot of people wouldn't be able to pronounce it. Not just me, but this was their study of this object. Now, I want to show you guys something else. This was a manual called the SOM1/01 Special Operations Manual. And this was taken, the pictures of this manual were taken back in a time when, like if you watch the old James Bond films, back in the 1950s, if the government had some sort of a manual that they knew where every copy was, say they gave the copies to a person that was working for them within classified projects or programs, they'd know where every single copy was. So back in those days, it wasn't as simple as it is today. Now everything's digital. Nowadays, if you want a copy of something, you just digitally download it. It wasn't that way back in the old days. Back in the old days, if you wanted a copy of something, what you had to do is you had to do like a spy. You had to take a picture of each page. And that's what they did with this. They opened the manual up, they held it to a certain page, and they took a snap photo of it. And then they had a copy of the manual, and they could let the original go back to its government sources or whatever. So this was the SM-101 manual way back in 1953. The Joint Chiefs of Staff issued Army, Navy, Air Force publication. It was 146 pages. And this was an unauthorized release of that information concerning the UFOs. Back in those days, just taking the pictures of this came under the Espionage Act, punishable by 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine, which back in those days, $10,000 was like $10 million now, And so these guys were risking it, taking these pictures of the SM-101 manual. But if we go to this page here in the SM-101 manual and we take a look, we'll see in the descriptions of the craft that they were working with back in the 1950s. They talk about the elliptical or disc-shaped craft. It says this type of craft was of metallic construction, a dull aluminum in color. They have the appearance of two pieces of pie pans or shallow dishes pressed together. They may or may not have a raised dome on the top of the bottom. No seams or joints are visible on the surface, giving the impression of a one-piece construction. Discs are estimated from 50 feet in diameter to 300 feet in diameter, and a thickness of approximately 15% of that of the diameter, of the outer diameter, and so on. But now we're going to move on to fuselage type B. It says fuselage type B. That's fuselage type A, is basically the flying saucer. Fuselage type B is a cigar shape. Documented reports of this type of craft are extremely rare. Air Force radar reports indicate that they are approximately 2,000 feet long and 95 feet thick, and apparently they do not operate in the lower atmosphere. Very little information is available on the performance of these craft, but radar reports have indicated speeds in excess of 7,000 miles per hour. They do not appear to engage in violent and erratic maneuvers associated with the smaller type of craft. Now, if we move back and we take a look at this again, this video from that they just took. Three minutes it took for it to travel across the sky here. Taken at Cape Hatteras, and this was probably this particular sighting. There it goes, see? But that took 3 minutes. Okay, well, let's take a look again. That's a 3-minute shot. There it goes across the sky, see? Now, the way it's going across the sky, you'd think it has a trail behind it. I don't think it does. I think that's the entire object. I don't think it's making a trail. If we go back here, take a look at a close-up. Stop the frame? I think that's the entire object, and I don't think it's making any sort of a trail. It's just slowly moving across the sky. And why it's a little bit blurry and stuff is you're looking through a long distance away from this object. This object's probably 100 miles away or even further, and this would make it immensely large. Could it be 2,000 feet long? Approximately, I think yes, it could very well be, and it seems that fit the same size description as that Oumuamua, what they call a meteor or an asteroid, which I'm not so sure about myself, because look at the shape of it, same darn shape, and it was traveling 70,000 miles per hour. More than 70,000 miles per hour, and they also said it probably had its own propulsion system as it traveled and arced through our solar system and back and away again. If there is advanced civilizations out there that went through a technological period not unlike what we're going through, look how quick our technology is advancing, and all these things that we think we can't do, like interstellar travel. Later we find out that it's a possibility. I mean, if you go back in time to remember the time before they split the atom, just when they were getting ready to split the atom, they said it was impossible to split the atom. Couldn't be done. Then they did it. They've said it's impossible to travel faster than the speed of light. And now they're discovering that you can travel faster than the speed of light. And so our minds are our biggest limitation, One of the things we haven't considered is it possible for interstellar travel using some sort of a warp where you would bend time and space and travel through what they call a wormhole instead of traveling linearly, possibly move through time and space without moving at all. Things like that. And they seem to never be able to actually get their heads around things like this. But if an advanced civilization were to have discovered space travel maybe thousands and thousands of years while we were still living in caves, and they'd still been making advancements all these years while we've been slowly progressing, they could be to a point in their culture and their civilization where not only interstellar travel is possible, but a lot of other things that we can't conceive of, like total invisibility, uh, for stealth, teleportation. They could have that. They could have wormholes where they can quite literally move their craft from one place to another without moving at all. And they could have plotted these wormholes so that they know where one wormhole leads to the next wormhole to take them from one place to another rather quickly, And so we live in a universe where we don't understand a lot of things, and we think we have understanding, and we're very quick to say, well, this is impossible. This can't be true. Can't be true, And until it actually happens, or until it affects us one way or another. And if an alien civilization has developed these kind of massively leaps in technology so much further ahead of us, could one of their starships be capable of basically extinguishing life on Earth if they wanted to? And we would have no defense against them, basically, because their technology level might be so much higher advanced than ours. Now I'm just talking theoretically, but I found this to be very interesting, and it's worth a look at the SOM 1/01 manual, Special Operations Manual from the 1950s. It's worth a look and it's worth a read. And is it true? Is it real? Is it the real deal? Well, you'd have to make your own mind up on that. But this UFO, this particular UFO sighting from Cape Hatteras, got me a little bit excited for the first time in a long time because, even though I've been studying these things for like 30 years or more, this one right here appears to me to be the real genuine article. And I really thought, hey, this is really a good classic sighting that's completely unexplained. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the very next show. Bye-bye.